शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोः पदं मंत्रमूलं गुरो वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरो कृपाः। नमोस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। My humble prostrations to the lotus feet of my Pujya Gurudev, Pujya Sadguru Sri 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 Sai Kumar Ji. My humble namaskarams to Sri Kirtima Ji and Sai Shiva Hari Om. A very warm welcome to all of you. Today, we are entering the 14th chapter, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogam. This is also Vibhaga, separation, separating the Atma from the Anatma. That is, separating the Atma from the Gunas, the qualities. The yoga of the division of the three Gunas or three qualities. The characteristic features of the three Gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, are explained in this chapter. How they bind man, what are the effects of these qualities on man, and the behavior of man owing to the effects of these qualities. When these qualities predominate his nature, what is his behavior? And the effects produced by each of these gunas is what? Moreover, how man can transcend all of them, how he can overcome all these and reach the state of Jivan Mukta. This is all what is explained in this chapter. All these aspects are covered in this chapter. In reality, karma is no way concerned with the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. What is the meaning of karma? Karma means kriya, action. And karma karta, who is the karma karta? The doer of action is the karma karta, that is man. So, it is the doer of action, karma karta, to whom these qualities bind. So, man will be in Sattva, Rajas and Tamogunas. Now, supposing a man does karmas pertaining to Sattva Guna, he is known as Sattva Karta, means Sattva Karmas. Supposing a man performs karmas pertaining to Rajas, Rajas Karta undertakes Rajasic Karma and Tamasic Karta executes Tamasic Karma. Why is there a difference in each of this consciousness? A doubt may arise. When the pure consciousness or the Chaitanya Shakti is the same in all living beings, then why is there a difference in these gunas? The difference in these gunas is owing to the Prakriti. It is caused by Prakriti. For example, You have so many types of bulbs. 0-watt bulb, 25-watt bulb, 40 watts bulb, 75 watts bulb, 100 watts bulb, or you have a halogen light, you have a spotlight. But the watts are different. The light shines according to the watts of the bulb. The electricity in all these bulbs is one and the same. There is no change in the electricity of this bulb. Even so, the differences in people are caused by the changes in Prakriti. The sadhaka moves about. Now the sadhaka is living in the world. So he is moving about. So when he is moving about in this world, there are so many gunas in him. Meaning to say the three gunas are predominating him. And he has to purify the gunas and goes above the gunas. How he goes above the gunas. All these is revealed in this chapter. There are different kinds of knowledges in the world. Knowledge of different sciences, knowledge of different arts. But each branch of knowledge leading to the understanding of a particular aspect of life and nature. Each knowledge. Here, Sri Krishna declares, but that knowledge leading to self-realization is the best and the highest. No other knowledge can unravel the mystery of human personality and take to the state of freedom and perfection. Without this supreme knowledge, there cannot be inner illumination, there cannot be any freedom, there cannot be any perfection. So this knowledge is the highest. Sri Krishna cites the example of great sages of yore. All of them have attained the highest state by means of this wisdom. Now let's know the story of Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami. He was a great Avadhuta of the 18th century. On the banks of the river Kaveri, in a village called Neruru, in Tamil Nadu, in a district named Tiruchinappalli in Tamil Nadu, there is a Shiva temple with a bilva tree, and in the temple lies the samadhi of Sri Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami. Even today, pilgrims flock together to have his darshan. Who was this great saint? Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami was born to a great Pandit named 𝘕𝑒𝑠𝑗𝑠𝑢𝑛𝑑𝑎 𝘕𝑒𝑠𝑗𝑠𝑜𝑚asundara His father was 𝘕𝑒𝑠𝑗𝑠𝑜𝑚asundara Avadhani, who was an ardent devotee of Rama and Krishna, and his mother was Parvati Devi. She was an ardent devotee of Shiva. So, as a result of their devotion to these gods, the son born to them was named Shiva Ramakrishna. From birth itself, Shiva Ramakrishna proved to be entirely different, not like the ordinary boys. He showed discrimination, and this passion was revealed in his attitude, in his nature, in his behavior. And when he reached the age of youth, that dispassion and detachment reached its zenith. So when they noticed this, the parents thought, now it is high time. He has come to the age of youth. We should get him married to a girl, virtuous girl, so his mind will change. He will become normal. So after great persuasion, Shiva Ramakrishna did not agree to get married. But after great persuasion, as he could not disappoint his parents, he was forcibly wedded to a virtuous girl, and his age was 17 at that time. Even after marriage, there was no change in Shiva Ramakrishna. The Vairagya, the dispassion, and the quest for knowledge continued to be deep-rooted. In fact, it increased day by day. In the meanwhile, his wife attained puberty. She was a very small girl when she was married. So after some time, she attained puberty. Owing to this, a grand celebration was organized in the mother-in-law's house, in the in-laws' house, and all the necessary arrangements were being made. It was afternoon time, and Shiva Ramakrishna was feeling very hungry. So he went near the kitchen door. In those days, everybody was not allowed to enter the kitchen, even own family members. When food is being prepared, first it should be offered to God. So when the food is being offered to God, nobody should see when the food is being cooked. So they never used to enter the kitchen. So he stood near the doorstep and said, I am feeling hungry, give me some food to eat. So from inside the kitchen, there was a voice telling, please wait for some time, the food is not yet ready. He said, I don't want any sumptuous meals, just give me plain rice and sambar. That is enough. I'm feeling hungry. I'll fill my stomach with rice and sambar. From inside, the same voice spoke, don't come inside, don't step in, be there only. The food is getting ready. In a few minutes, we'll give you the food. These words were spoken by his mother-in-law. The moment he heard this, Shiva Ramakrishna, in a split second, there was a turning point in his life. Don't come inside, don't step inside, be there only, stand there. The innocent, casual words of his mother-in-law conveyed a deeper message to Shiva Ramakrishna. He accepted those words as if his mother-in-law was asking him not to step into the Grihastha-ashrama. Grihastha-ashrama means the householder stage of life. He took it as stand outside and seek knowledge. This was the implied message. So that decided his fate. Human beings who could not satiate his hunger, how could they quench his thirst for knowledge? Shiva Ramakrishna was totally a different person. The next minute, he just walked out of the house without anybody's knowledge. Don't step in. That's what it was ringing in his mind. He just walked out of the house. His relatives and everybody searched for him, but they could not trace him anyway. How can they trace him when he is in search of the infinite knowledge? He lived a nomadic life, roaming in the forest and sleeping on the riverbeds. And whenever he felt hungry, he begged alms and ate whatever he got in begging. He had no place to live, but he experienced that God is residing in the innermost chambers of his heart. And so he offered his manasika puja, mental puja, only in his mind only, he offered his manasika puja. Lord Shiva was touched by the sincere prayer of Shiva Ramakrishna, and so he sends a guru to him in the form of 𝘵𝘁𝑎𝑟𝑎 Swami of Kamakoti Peetham. 𝘵𝘁𝑎𝑟𝑎 Swami. So in course of time, Shiva Ramakrishna happens to meet this guru and he takes refuge at his feet. The moment the guru saw Shiva Ramakrishna, he was impressed by his illumination, by the Chaitanya Shakti in him, the pure consciousness. The aura was emanating, and so he addressed him as Sadashiva. So from that time, his name came to be known as Sadashiva, and slowly it turned out to be Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami. Sadashiva ardently served the Guru and composed many kirtans. He was good in composing kirtans. He displayed his knowledge before many pandits and wrote a commentary. And he even wrote a commentary on the Brahma Sutras and Patanjali Yoga Sutras. He dedicated all these works to his Guru. Even great pandits could not withstand his immense knowledge. Once there was a Vedantic debate, and an eminent pandit was defeated in this Vedantic debate by Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami. So that Vedantic pandit felt insulted and humiliated. As he was angry with the Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami, he went and complained against him to his Guru. So the next minute, the Guru called him and said, "When will you become silent?" The moment the Guru uttered this, Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami folded his hands and said, "Gurudev, I was waiting for your command till now. As you have asked me, when will you become silent? From this very moment, I promise you, I will remain silent. I will follow the vow of silence. That is Mauna Vrata. Vow of silence means the Mauna Vrata. I will follow that. And I will not speak anymore." And as promised to the Guru, he practiced the vow of silence from that very minute and composed many kirtans describing his feelings. He used to write the kirtans. After some time, he left the Guru and he moved about in a state of nudity. He gave up his clothing also. In nudity, he used to move about. But in his inner recesses of the heart, he was swimming in bliss, enjoying the bliss of Atmajnana. He ate what came to him and slept on the riverbed. Once it so happened that Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami was relaxing behind a heap of grains. It was afternoon. So he was immersed in deep meditation. He didn't know the passing of the time. It was twilight. The sun was setting. He didn't know anything about it. He was above the body conscious level. That time, the heap of grains who had kept the farmer came there. And he misunderstood. When he saw Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami, he mistook him to be a thief. He thought, "Oh, a thief has come to steal my grains." He had a stick in his hand, and so he wanted to hit the thief. So he lifted his hand up. He lifted it like this to hit Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami, thinking him to be a thief. And the moment he lifted his hand, it was like how you play statue. You say statue, you'll be in that position only. He remained like a statue in that position. His hand was not moving. It was neither going up nor coming down. His body was not moving further nor coming backwards. And the whole night, he was standing like that, like a statue. When the sun rays were rising in the sky, Sadashiv opened his eyes. He came to body consciousness. And he turned his head back because he felt that somebody was standing behind him. And he saw this farmer standing like a statue. He just gazed at him. The moment his gaze fell on the farmer became normal and he was able to move his hands. Then he realized, the farmer realized the greatness of Sadashiv Brahmendra Swami, he fell at his feet and begged forgiveness. He walked away. Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami didn't say a word because he was following the vow of silence. He just walked away, blessing him. On another occasion, he was sitting on the banks of the river Kaveri and was lost in the state of Samadhi. He was lost in ecstasy. There was no body conscious in him. He was cut off from the outside world. Suddenly, there was a heavy rain and there were torrential pours. Torrential pours were lashing. People advised, they were shouting at Sadashiva Brahmendra to move away from that place. But he couldn't hear a word because he was lost in his own self. And he was just sitting in meditation in Padmasana. When his sense organs and mind have turned inward, how could he perceive the outside world? Finally, they gave up shouting and he was washed away into the river, the Kaveri river. Big waves came, the tidal waves, and washed him away into the river. Everybody thought that he was dead. 3 months passed. After 3 months, a farmer was loading his cart with the sand. So he was digging the sand with his spade. Suddenly, he saw fresh blood stains on his spade. He got scared. He thought, something is there in this sand. He kept aside the spade and started digging the sand with his hand. It took some time for him to dig and dig. After he unearthed it, he saw Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami. By that time, there was a crowd of people gathered there to witness the scene. They were so shocked to see Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami sitting in the same Padmasana position which he sat 3 months ago. He was sitting in the same position. After they removed all the sand from him, it was then he came to body consciousness. It was then the people felt that he was an incarnation of Lord Shiva and prostrated before him. And from then onwards, he had a great following. A jnani may have this physical body, but you cannot confine a jnani to this physical body. He smiled at the people, gave a kirtan in writing, and walked away from there. Once Swami was proceeding towards Tirunelveli from Kurtalam. This is a place in Tamil Nadu. On the way, some people were loading bundles of sticks. There were many heaps of sticks and they were loading. So this Swami was also very lean. So they thought, "Arey, one stick is coming here. We'll tell the stick also to carry the sticks, since he is also looking like a stick." So he was ordered to carry the sticks and he mutely obeyed them. After he carried the sticks and kept it wherever they wanted them to be kept, he was just walking away when those people ridiculed him and said, "Arey, this stick is going away. Where are you going away, stick?" Just imagine, is it courteous on their part to extract work from him and laugh at him? Suddenly, when they ridiculed him, all of a sudden, all the bundles of sticks caught fire and they were burnt to ashes. Those people were surprised, they were shocked. They were running hither and thither to save the sticks, but they couldn't save the sticks. They were all burnt to ashes. Then they realized their folly. They had ridiculed a great man. So they turned round to ask for forgiveness to Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami, but they didn't find the Swami there. He disappeared from the scene. He was not there. An ordinary mind cannot judge and appreciate the greatness of the wise. The wise are always immersed in bliss They are above mundane existence. When Sadashiva's guru was told by people that Sadashiva was moving about naked, like a madman, like a lunatic, you know what the guru said? I wonder when I can reach that state. Imagine the guru telling this. I wonder when I can reach that state. That means Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami reached a very exalted position. Only a jnani can understand another jnani. This cannot be understood by people engulfed by Maya, so they ridicule such saints. On one such occasion, an orthodox Brahmin criticized his silent habits and said, he is a pseudo sannyasi, he is pretending himself to be a great avadhuta, he is a pseudo avadhuta, just to get the attraction of the people, he is doing so. The moment he uttered all these words, Sadashiva walked, there was a washerman beside him. He walked to that washerman and inscribed some letters on his tongue, on the washerman's tongue. The moment he inscribed those letters on the washerman's tongue, that washerman started reciting the Veda mantras. And this orthodox Brahmin who heard this chanting was so shocked, he fell at Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami's feet and prayed for forgiveness. And he too became a disciple of Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami. There were many instances which speak about the greatness of Sadashiva Swami. On a different occasion, a few Muslims came across this naked saint, Sadashiva. They were surprised to see him naked and walking like that. And they asked, there was a passerby going, and they asked him, why is that man walking like that naked? That passerby happened to be a Hindu who explained that he was an avadhuta, and the people who were inquiring were Muslims. He explained, he is an avadhuta. Avadhuta means a person who has reached a stage who's beyond worldly concern. Such people learn that the body is only a shelter. He is not the body. It all sounded incorrigible to them. It was incorrigible and hopeless for those Muslim people. They could not understand a word. So one of the Muslims had a sword in his hand. He just walked from behind and cut Sadashiva's hand. Here near the shoulder, he cut his arm. That arm was dangling. It was and bleeding profusely. The blood was just oozing out and flowing onto the ground. But Sadashiva was least bothered. He was just walking and walking and going. And this Muslim who chopped his hand was shocked. He thought, what is this? There is no trace of pain, no trace of shock, no trace of misery on his face. He's walking like that. So he went running behind him and said, your hand is chopped off. It is bleeding. Then Sadashiva turned round. He saw his hand, and with the other hand, he just held that hand like this. The moment he held the hand like this, that hand got fixed. Like you glue it. It was glued to his shoulder. The hand got glued to his shoulder. The Swami coolly touched his hand with the other, and it became normal. That miracle brought a change in the Muslim, and he fell prostrate before him. Then the Swami wrote a kirtan on deathlessness and gave it to that Muslim. Deathlessness of the Atma. Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami performed miracles not as a sign to exhibit his greatness, but whenever there was an occasion and the need arose. He was seen in many places at the same time. It is said that he appeared at Kashi, Neruru, Kanchi, and Puri at the same time. He lived the life of an avadhuta for the welfare of others. Finally, he had reached his last stage. He then sent for his devotees. He wrote a chit to call all his devotees, and they all assembled. And he wrote a letter. My time has come to leave this world. Very soon, I will give up this physical body. Please bury me, make a samadhi. You should arrange a samadhi for my body, and on my samadhi, you should plant a bilva tree over it. At the time of burying my body, a stranger will come from Kasi holding a white Shivalinga, and you place that Shivalinga before my samadhi and install that Shivalinga before my samadhi and worship it every day, regularly. Have faith in God, try to seek the eternal, give up all your weaknesses and faults, learn to control the sense organs and the mind, and contemplate on God. This is the message he gave. The devotees could not bear the grief. One of them cried out, "Oh God, if you leave us," they used to call him God also, "if you leave us, who will take care of us? We can't live without you. Show us the path to reach God." Sadashiva, who was about to leave the world, opened his eyes slowly with great difficulty and wrote his last message through the last kirtana, Sarvam Brahmamayam, Re Re Sarva Brahmamayam. And lastly, he says, Hamsad Dhyanam, do Hamsad Dhyanam. It's a very lengthy song. The meaning of the song is, God is everywhere. When he is everywhere, where should you seek him? We are all in Brahman. Meditate on your breath. Everything went on strictly as the Swami envisaged and instructed. Even today, during Navaratri and the Samadhi day, the celebrations are held on a grand scale. The Pudukotta Maharaj, the place known as Pudukotta, the Pudukotta Maharaj has donated a village to meet the expenses of the rituals in the temple. The celebrations are conducted by the Pudukotta estate. When he was in the physical form, he walked like a stick and helped humanity. When he left the physical form, he remained as a tree to help humanity. That's the greatness of Mahatmas. Whether they are in the mortal coil or whether they leave the mortal coil, they are forever for the welfare of mankind. So this is the story of Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami, like a Jivan Mukta. He was a Jivan Mukta. Now coming back to the Trigunas, the efficacy of a particular medicine. Why I told you this story of Sadashiva Brahmendra is, he was about the Trigunas. He had overcome the Trigunas. He had transcended the Trigunas, and that is how he became a Jivan Mukta. Now coming back to the Trigunas, now there's a particular medicine. The efficacy of the medicine is proved by the number of patients who are cured by it. Supposing that medicine has worked for 75% of the people, then that medicine is universally acclaimed. Even so, this wisdom of Atma has worked the miracle on all those who have taken it with faith and diligence. The bound soul is liberated at once by the knowledge of Atman, and he puts an end to the cycle of birth and death. The Trigunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, are born of Prakriti. Atma is free from them. Atma is Nirguna, devoid of the three gunas. It transcends them. Now coming to the moving further, coming to the 16th sloka, Sri Krishna says, Karmanaha sukritasyahuhu satvikam nirmalam phalam, rajasastu phalam dukkham, ajnanam tamasah phalam. The meaning of this is, the fruit of good actions of sattvic nature is pure. The fruit of rajas is suffering, and the fruit of tamas is ignorance. Let's know in detail about this. Every man wants happiness, but not suffering. Nobody wants sorrow. If man wants happiness, he should do only those actions which give him peace and joy. So he should do action with purity as well as selflessness. Then he can enjoy peace and joy, which is the fruit of sattvic guna. Suffering and ignorance arise from rajoguna. From rajoguna arises suffering, and from tamoguna, ignorance. So the wise man should avoid all actions of a rajasic nature because they verily produce suffering. Knowing this, no thoughtful man will willingly do wrong things in anger and passion. What is anger and passion? Rajoguna. Now, there is a fire. You know the nature of fire. What is the nature of fire? It burns. So will you thrust your hand into the fire? No, you won't thrust. Why? If you thrust your hand into the fire, your hand will get burnt. Likewise, one should clearly perceive the terrible effects of rajas. What are the effects of rajas? Kama and krodha, desire and anger. They are very, very dangerous. We have already discussed they are two deadly enemies of man. Because of kama and krodha, man is passing through the tortures of hell even in this world. He suffers pain. Why is man suffering pain? Because of rajoguna. With rajoguna, what are the effects of rajoguna? He suffers pain. He is restless. He has horrid dreams. He is fearful. He is covered by deluding hopes. He has disappointments. He is despaired. His desperation and despondency. All this is rajoguna. And what is tamoguna? Tamoguna is all darkness and ignorance. Under its power, man lives like an animal. He eats, sleeps, and enjoys sensual pleasures. He has no idea of anything pure and holy. Even if you happen to explain to him, he will not understand a word. Tamas is the most deadliest enemy of man. It should be overcome in every possible way. You can analyze yourself to which guna you belong to, which is predominating you. Now let's know a story from the Padma Purana about these gunas. There was a Brahmin named Satyaketu living in Kurukshetra. He was a noble and pious Brahmin leading a righteous life. One evening, he bathed near the well near his house. Every house used to have a well in those days. So he bathed near the well, went inside the house and sat in japa. He was doing japa. His assistant, he had an assistant. So meanwhile, when he was sitting in japa, a dog came, a stray dog. A dog came there and it started licking the water from the gutter near the well. There was a gutter there. So when this Brahmin had his bath, all the water collected in that gutter. So this dog licked that water and again it slept in that damp soil. Meanwhile, the assistant of Satyaketu came out of the house and he saw the dog. He wanted to draw water from the well. The dog was there. So what he did, he took a big stone and hit the dog very badly. The poor dog was hit very, very badly. It was bruised all over the body. The dog barked and barked very loudly. In fact, it started wailing also. It went on wailing, and it lost its life. At that moment, this disturbed the japa of Satyaketu. He got up from his japa and went out to see why was the dog wailing so much? And when he saw, he did not find the dog there. Actually, the dog was dead. In that place, there was a huge, luminous, illustrating figure with splendid radiance standing there. The moment Satyaketu saw that figure, he got flabbergasted. He said, "Who are you?" That divine form offered his salutations to Satyaketu and said, "O great Brahmin, I will tell you, reveal my last birth to the extent what I remember. Whatever I remember, I will tell you." And he continued, "I was a king ruling the island of Jambu, the 𝘠𝘩𝘪𝘴. I was a rightful king, always adhering to the path of dharma and satya. I used to undertake charitable activities and execute all rituals according to the spiritual injunctions. I saw to the comforts of my people, and one day I happened to disguise myself to see what my people were doing in my kingdom, to see if anything wrong was going on in the kingdom. I disguised myself as an ordinary man and walked in the bylanes of the streets, leaving off the royal streets, royal path. I walked in the bylane of the streets. It was midnight, and the place where I happened to go was calm and silent without any people. Unexpectedly, I came across a woman. She was looking splendid in her feminine beauty. Her grace and charm attracted me, and I stopped her way. I really wanted to embrace her and expressed my desire to her. And that mother refused to even come near me and explained the principles of dharma, the principles of righteousness. But I was not in a mood to hear her words. I was enveloped by lustful emotions. I forced her to accept me. That young mother trembled in fear. She trembled in fear and couldn't utter a word. Then I caught her forcibly by the arm and satisfied my sensual desire. As after I satisfied my sensual pleasure, I went away from there. I was just walking a few steps away when I heard a feeble female voice wailing. Then I turned round to see who it was. I was shocked to see that lady fall down crying, "O king, what have you done?" She said that she fell down and gave up her life. She died on the spot. The moment I saw this, I was shivering in fright. Then I thought, what has happened? That lady has lost her life. As you know, karma does not spare anybody. Upatishtati tishtantam gacchata marugacchati karoti kurvatah karmachhayevvānugacchati. Karma follows man like his shadow. It sits with him while he sits, moves with him while he moves, and runs with him while he runs, walks with him when he walks. It is like a shadow, and this karma, my karma, followed me like a shadow. In course of time, the enemies invaded my kingdom. They pounced on my kingdom, and I had to run for my life. I escaped from their clutches. I took my family, my wife and my children with me, and entered the jungles. And there I went to a hell of a torture. Untold miseries I experienced, and that's where I died. I died in the forest. After my death, I attained the birth of a Chataka Pakshi. Chataka Pakshi means, it is known as Jacobin cuckoo bird in English. Jacobin cuckoo, and some call it skylark bird also. This Chataka Pakshi is a bird. In the rainy season, it waits for the rains to pour down, and that is how it drinks the water. It directly catches the rain and sips the water. So I attained the birth of a Chataka Pakshi. After the life of the Chataka Pakshi, I was born a dog. And I was that dog which gulped down the water in that gutter near this well. You had taken your bath, and that sacred water fell into the gutter near the well. And as I gulped down that sacred water, I was purified. All my sins had been washed away, because you're a pure Brahmin. Oh Deva, you're a pure Brahmin. But your servant hit me with a stone, and I lost my life. With this, I have become free from the fetters of my past sinful deeds. I'm relieved of my past karmic account. Now I have obtained this divine body, lustrous body. See, the celestial vehicle is coming on the way. He turned. There was a celestial vehicle coming from the sky to take me. Please bless me, O Brahmin. Please bless me. I'm going away. So this is the story of Rajasastu Phalam Dukkham. That king had rajas qualities, and what did he face? Rajasastu Phalam Dukkham. He faced sorrow. It was a miserable life. So many janmas he had to cross through. That king became a Chataka Pakshi, then he became a dog, and at last he was relieved from his karmic account. So if one wants peace and joy, rajas should be given up. There is no other way. 90% of the people are in rajas only. Ajnanam tamasa phalam. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. That is, you experience dukkham, sorrow, with rajas. Ajnanam tamasa phalam. And what is the output of tamas? Ajnanam, ignorance. Ignorance is the seedbed of all other evils. Rajas arises from tamas. Knowledge removes both tamas and rajas. Knowledge is pure and perfect. That should be our goal. What is the fruit of sattvic work? See, sattvic work means pure joy. The fruit of rajas is suffering, and the fruit of tamas is ignorance. What then is the way to peace and joy? Man should avoid tamasic and rajasic actions and take refuge in pure sattva quality. See, if a pure light is there and it is covered by three different glasses, three colored glasses, so different effects are produced. If the glass is dark, then the light is dim, that is tamoguna. If the glass is red, then the light casts a red shadow, that is rajoguna. If the glass is transparent, you say white or transparent, the light is clear, that is sattva-guna. But the transparent glass is also a veil covering the pure light within. Therefore, the original purity of the Lord of the light is modified by the glass. It is modified by the glass. By whatever glass you keep, that light you get, however clean it might be. Even so, the sattva guna binds the jiva by attachment to happiness and knowledge. See, the transparent glass, you're comparing it to sattva guna. Even then, though the light is clear, it is a binding veil to the jiva. It is binding the jiva to attachment and happiness and knowledge. Then what should the aspirant do? What should the aspirant do? He should go beyond sattva guna also and reach Atma. The nature of rajoguna, what is the nature of rajoguna? People who are in rajoguna, they are always passionate to get some objects, and they always have desire in their mind. They have attachment to objects. It binds man to desire and attachment to action. The aspirant should free himself from the binding power of rajas. Tamo guna arises from ignorance, we already spoke. So what does it do? Ignorance means it deludes man. You have deluding hopes. It binds the jiva by the tamasic man is always negligent. He's very careless. He's lazy, lethargic. He's idle and too much of sleep. He sleeps and sleeps. Like Sattva-guna attaches the jiva to happiness. Rajoguna attaches the jiva to action. He is always active, Rajoguna person. And Tamoguna is always inactive. It shrouds knowledge and attaches him to do all mistakes. That is why a typical example of Sattva-guna is Vibhishana. A typical example of Rajoguna is Ravana, who was always desirous. He was filled with Kama and Krodha, desirous of possessing Sita, Sita Mata, and Tamoguna, Kumbhakarna, sleeping and eating. The three qualities function alternately in every individual. We have all these three qualities in us, but one quality at a time predominates us. And how do we know it? When Sattva-guna functions, the other two gunas are overpowered. When Rajoguna functions, then Sattva and Tamas are suppressed. When Tamoguna is powerful, then Sattva and Rajas are overpowered. According to the dominant quality in man, whichever guna is predominating in man, his actions are framed. So the food he eats, the words he speaks, the way he thinks, the way he walks, the way he acts, all these activities clearly show what quality is predominant in him at any particular time. Supposing Sattva is dominating, then in a person, Sattva is dominating. That means his speech will be soft and pleasing. He walks steadily, he puts steady steps. He doesn't keep on shaking and moving. He thinks nobly and peacefully. He eats pure food. He eats fresh food, pure food. He reads good books. He keeps the company of the wise and noble persons. His intellect will be sharp and clear. He sees things as they are and is not perturbed or troubled by the happenings around him. Come what may, he is not disturbed. He is balanced. In fact, the external life, the life which we see of a person, is itself the measuring tape to find out what his nature is. You can make out the qualities. You can see a person and noticing all these qualities, you can make out to which quality he belongs to. When Rajoguna dominates, that person is restless. Greed and longing urge him to undertake many actions for the fulfillment of his desires. These desires may sometimes be selfish. He has no regard to truth. He is like the ocean troubled by a tempest. His words are harsh, filled with pride. He walks unsteadily because of his mental restlessness. And the food he takes is also not fresh. He likes all spicy foods. He lives a life of passion and does not know what is peace and real joy. And what is the quality of tamas? Tamas is darkness, absence of reason and true understanding. He is inert, he is dull, unresponsive, disinclination towards activity. He doesn't like activity of any kind. He is always in delusion. He misunderstands people. He has wrong thoughts, wrong opinions about people and things. You can compare a tamoguna person to an unripe mango. The sourness of an unripe mango is a suitable example for tamoguna. When sattva-guna is predominating, when a person dies, when he is in sattva-guna, that person faces death In his next birth, he attains the worlds of the highest. He attains a higher world and he comes into the wombs of the pure. Meeting death in Rajoguna, when a person is in when Rajoguna is predominating and that person dies, he is born among those attached to action. That means he is born in a family where there's too much of activity, too much of greed, too much of lust, anger, all these qualities. He is born in such a family. And when a person, when the tamoguna is dominating, predominating, and a person dies, he is born in the wombs of the lower species, like animals, birds, and reptiles. So, the real cause of all the actions that man does is the gunas. It is with the gunas we behave like that. Supposing a small example of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a traveler was passing through a dense forest. Three thieves sprang on him and overpowered him. He immediately relieved himself of all his possessions. The first thief drew out a dagger and tried to stab him. You know what? The second thief comes and says, no, don't kill him. Let him die. We'll tie him up to this tree with a rope. And they tie him up to a tree. And they go away taking the booty. After some time, the third thief, who is good at heart, he comes back and opens the knots of the rope. He relieves the victimized traveler with kindness of heart and shows him the way back home. The grateful traveler requested that this thief to come along with him and accept his hospitality in his house. But the kind thief politely refuses to come to cross his limits and disappears into the forest. What is the essence of this story? This world is the forest. The Trigunas are the three thieves. The Jivatma is the traveler. The divine qualities are his possessions. Of the three gunas, Tamas tries to kill him, whereas Rajoguna binds him with ropes and Sattvaguna releases him from his bondage and shows him the path, shows him where he has to go to his destination home. So here, Sattvaguna shows him the way to supreme consciousness. However, a Sattvaguna is also a guna bound. It cannot have access to the proximity of Brahman. One who has gone beyond the Trigunas is balanced in joy and sorrow. He is established in the self, regards a stone and gold as equal. He is the same in praise and censure, pleasant and unpleasant things, honor and dishonor, towards friends and foes, abandons all actions. He is gunatita, above the gunas. Paramatma is beyond the trigunas. To go beyond them is the way to become Brahman. To cross over the gunas, you need a great self-inquiry, self-control, and meditation to cross the gunas. All these three are necessary: self-inquiry, self-control, and meditation. Bhakti, single-minded devotion, helps the devotee to transcend the gunas. Bhakti is the universal element in all kinds of practice, whether you are following Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Raja Yoga, or Karma Yoga. Bhakti is the universal element in all these kinds of practices. This devotion is the life force of all yogas. Without it, no spiritual progress is possible. Pure bhakti requires the highest renunciation. See, in bhakti also you have to renounce. The mind should be centered in God totally and completely. The world has no place in the mind of a true devotee. If you are really a bhakta, you won't relish the world. When this attitude is fixed, The devotee easily goes beyond the gunas. The devotee sees God in many forms, but when he attains the state of bliss, this very God is realized by him as the formless, infinite, nirguna Brahman. Formless, infinite, nirguna Brahman. It is in this realization that bhakti and jnana are synchronized. As the proverb goes, a rolling stone gathers no moss. The impurity of ignorance will not touch one who constantly involves himself in spiritual practice. Life is a research center. One must undertake all spiritual practices required for the progress in life. Mind has to be polished. You have to polish the mind. When you polish, what happens when you polish your shoes? The dust goes away. That means you have to clean the mind pure. In every chapter, this is repeated. Keep the mind pure. We should not forget the fact that till now we have taken countless births. Many janmas we have attained. We should pray to God to bestow us the power, strength, and wisdom required to put an end to our mundane existence. For we have to combine the grace of God with our own efforts. With one's own effort, the grace of God should be combined. Now let us conclude with Sadhguruji's divine words. Grieve not, Sadhguruji is saying, grieve not, a bee has stung you. Be happy that a scorpion has not stung you. Grieve not for the prickly thorn that pierced your foot. Be happy for not harming your eyes. Grieve not for not having a vehicle. Be happy for having 2 strong legs to walk. Grieve not for not having crores of rupees. Be happy for getting every square meal a day. Grieve not for breaking your nail. Be happy that your finger is safe. Grieve not for not having a mansion. Be happy for having a roof to live under. Grieve not for lacking physical beauty. Be happy for having inner beauty. This is the most important point. All of us at one point of time or the other, we have to develop inner beauty. To develop inner beauty, you have to clean your mind clean. So now we'll end the session with the chanting of the slokas. Now we have completed the dhyana slokas. So today we'll go to the 14th chapter sloka. Okay, let's start. Karmanah sukrutasyahuhu.
Karmanah sukrutasyahuhu. Karmanah sukrutasyahuhu. Karmanah sukrutasyahuhu.
Satvikam nirmalam phalam.
Satvikam nirmalam phalam. Satvikam nirmalam phalam. Satvikam nirmalam phalam.
Rajasastu phalam dukkham.
Rajasastu phalam dukkham. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. Rajasastu phalam dukkham.
Ajnanam tamasah phalam.
Ajnanam tamasah phalam. Ajnanam tamasah phalam. Ajnanam tamasah phalam.
Karmana sukrutasyahuhu. Satvikam nirmalam phalam.
Karmana sukrutasyahuhu. Satvikam nirmalam phalam.
Rajasastu phalam dukkham. Ajnanam tamasah phalam.
Rajasastu phalam dukkham. Ajnanam tamasah phalam. Karmana sukrutasyahuhu. Satvikam nirmalam phalam. Rajasastu phalam dukkham. Ajnanam tamasah phalam.
Now we'll repeat from the Dhyana slokas. Om Parthaya.
Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Ghaditam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrutavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadasadhyayinim Ambatvam Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim.
Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha
Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrutaduhe Namaha.
Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogda Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamrutam Mahate.
Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanooramardhanam Devaki Paramanandham Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Velakula
Aswathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartine Sotirna Kalupanda Vaifrana Nadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha
Parasharya Vachah Sarojamamalam Gitartha Gandhotkhatam Nanakshyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam
Loke Sajjana Shatpadaira Araha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamsinah Sreyase
Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam
Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvante Devyaistavaihi Redai Sangha Padakranmopanishadaihi Gayantiyam Samagaha
Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Na Vidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha.
Om Sri Paramatmane Namaha. Atah Srimad Bhagavad Gita Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yoyosavaha Mamakah Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Arjuna Uvacha Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna न च राज्यं सुखानि च किं नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा।
श्रीभगवानुवाच जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येऽर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि।
नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं कर्म ज्याह्यो ह्यकर्मणः शरीरयात्रापि च ते न प्रसिद्ध्येद कर्मणः।
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे।
अन्यासः कर्मयोगश्च निःश्रेयसकरावुभौ तयोस्तु कर्म संन्यासात् कर्मयोगो विशिष्यते।
असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येन च गृह्यते।
दैवी ह्येषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते।
अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कळेबरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः।
अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः।
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च।
मत्कर्म कृन्मत्परमो मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः स मामेति पाण्डव।
यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः।
अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यमात्मा विनिग्रहः।
कर्मणः सुकृतस्याहुः सात्विकं निर्मलं फलं रजसस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसः फलम्.
Now we'll end this session with a closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaved. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, and thank you to all of you attending this session. Hari Om.